Every 2 years, all the staff of the Diocese of the Church in Papua New Guinea would gather here in conference and for refreshment, retreat and renewal. Many travelled by boat from far away New Britain. It's a long journey, up to 4 or 5 days, and then a rough landing when you arrive in a bouncing dinghy into the surf. And of course, for these occasions, to meet you, there was always the father of the diocese, the bishop. Here, Bishop Philip Strong is greeting a party of missionaries coming to conference in the early part of the 1960s. The ship would then go to another part and pick up another group of staff from other parts of the diocese. On this day, these were more fortunate. They were able to land while the sea was calm and so come alongside at the wharf. Notice that the skipper of the boat was a Papua New Guinean. The crew, those gathering round to help at this important gathering. It's a great occasion for the missionaries, not having met for up to 2 years, to meet their friends again and be welcomed in their turn by the bishop. Then everyone wends ashore to the beach and transport takes them up to the mother station. Others are fortunate and come in by plane. Here is the last lap of a 500-mile journey by aircraft from the highlands, flying over the coast, approaching Dagora. The great open space here was formerly a battleground of the local Wedown people with the wild mountaineers at the back. Now there stands the cathedral and a school and hospital and the new and flourishing school for girls run by the Community of the Holy Name. There was a time when the airstrip cut from the grasslands below was a modern innovation, but now air travel is essential for the work to continue there. Again, friends gather after many years of absence from one another, and all are looking forward with great anticipation to the events to take place at this gathering. This one was for the enthronement of the first Papua New Guinean bishop. This happened very shortly after the enthronement of Bishop Hand, who was the first European bishop to be consecrated after long service within Papua New Guinea, following the many long years of service of Bishop Philip Strong. And of course the village people and the station staff gather in their hundreds for this wonderful occasion. Students of the Training College for Teachers were the first to arrive in procession, and now all the clergy, brown and white, of the diocese enter in their turn. The guard of honor is formed by drummers from the college. The Episcopal party, with the Chancellor of the diocese, attending him, Canon Henry Kendall, who is now a regional bishop of the diocese, Bishop Hand, and on his left, attending him, John Chisholm, the Dean, who is now the Bishop of Melanesia. band enters the ceremony, and soon we are to see the face of the first Papua New Guinean bishop, Bishop George Ambo, enthroned for his work, first as assistant bishop, and now as a regional bishop, in charge of the northern district of the diocese, living at Popondetta. After the service, the great congregation comes forth to return to their work and their villages, and the staff to go into conference. Nurses in training at the base hospital, which was already sent out to many parts of the diocese, teams of fine medical workers, men and women. The local Wedau village, from which these women folk come, has therefore been one of the fountain heads of service in the diocese. And many villages have followed in its course and sent their people out to bring the gospel to parts of the diocese where there are those who have never heard it. We look again across the Wedau village to the point where the first missionaries landed from a whaleboat on St. Lawrence's Day, 1891. From there, into our new era of aircraft and radio, the conference and great occasion is over, and those working in the highlands return to their field of work. And this is one of the greatest dawnings of adventure that have come. Advance and expansion are within Papua New Guinea itself. Much of this carried out by Papua New Guineans themselves. So the long flight of 4 or 5 hours brings us far to the west, and then up inland and over the first of the great ridges and into the great wide valley of the Asaro, where Goroka, an important center in the highlands, eastern highlands of New Guinea, lies. It was from here that the first work began in the Siani Valley, where now there are 7 or 8 schools, a great number of village churches, and some thousands of baptized Christians. For anyone working in Papua New Guinea, these flights by aircraft become familiar. They can be risky and adventurous. Now we reload, take on a Papua New Guinean missionary being transferred from one part of the highlands to another, and go further to the west. We have reached heights of up to 7,000 feet and higher to clear the high mountain ranges. And here the aircraft is flying at 7,000 with the ground only 2,000 feet or less below you. And we enter the great Wagi Valley. This has been the scene of some of the greatest development economically in Papua New Guinea in recent years. We fly over the Wagi River and a headquarters of government service in the area, Kundiawa. And beyond this there are open grasslands where now coffee and tea plantations have sprung up. And the most amazing development amongst this very tightly populated area of the island. We turn out of the valley and over the tops again into a remote bushland area of the highlands, Simbai. And this was one of the first and most remote highland stations to be begun. Only a few years previous to this filming, the first missionaries began here. Now the wife of the missionary in charge comes down to meet the aircraft as it brings the party back from far away to Gura. And immediately here we see the pioneering and adventurous work which is always taking place in these new areas. The building of the first school. Young Papua New Guinean men trained as carpenters working alongside a team leader. Here a voluntary service overseas volunteer from England has built this on the design by the local priest in charge. The timber has been got at great trouble and expense, a lot of it cut in the local forest by hand, and a portion of it bought for £100 from the nearest sawmill, a half-hour's flight away, costing another £100 of air freight to fly it in. But then, of course, the great day comes for the school to get underway, and here is a class, or the school assembly. The children are learning. Note that they turn the wrong way, and the teacher waves his hands and gets a little frustrated to get them to turn the right way, to distinguish their left from their right. The teachers, again, are Papua New Guineans, one from the coastal area in the Dugora district, and the other a Highlander himself from Morvi, the Siani Valley, near Goroka, which we flew over earlier on. All the same subjects in school as we do, and the same entertainments and sports. And of course the sports day is just as popular there as in any of our schools. They have a natural flair for competition, but have never known it in an organized way, as you have in a school. Their competitions usually have been in hunting prowess, who will be the best shot with a bow and arrow at a bird in a tree, and of course staying power in walking long and traveling long distances through the bush. So this is a natural outlet for their own background. And of course the archery must come into it, or we'd be most unpopular. And here's some good shooting by one of the senior schoolboys. We're very delighted when we get the younger children in. The parents are reluctant to yet let little children come to school, as they are fearful and do not know exactly what this new education is going to mean. It doesn't take them long, a few years, to gain confidence and trust in what the churches and the government do for educating their children. The problem today, 1971, is to find enough schools and teachers to give universal education, but that lies beyond another dawn and another adventure. The wife of the priest in charge begins her ministry by having her own family, who becomes a source of admiration to the local mothers, and this opens the opportunity for infant welfare work. Olive Robin here is a trained nurse and began the infant welfare work even before she had her own family. This involves contacting villages far away from the mission station, and also bringing in any other European folk who visit the station, here the wife of the aircraft pilot, to display her child too, and increase the enthusiasm. This is a wonderful service which is done. Essential in the Highlands, of course, is communication. And here is the next Highlands mission station begun after Simbai, Koinambi. This could not be started until an airstrip was completed to solve the communication problem. Peter Robin, the priest in charge, learnt, as many missionaries do, to be a jack of all trades and use the surveyor's level to help to perfect the airstrip. It took 2.5 years in building, with hundreds of local villagers working on it over that period in teams, and not only the menfolk, but the women too. And here they eagerly get on with it, although after 2 years they were beginning to tire a little. But they themselves knew the benefits that would come from an airstrip, able to evacuate the sick, to bring in school supplies, and all the contact with the benefits that can be brought in by missionary work and government service. No tools available except shovels and their own handmade earth-carrying equipment. It was impossible to fly machinery in. The women folk play their part, and here is the gravelling of the airstrip. And here for 3 months, with little bamboo tubes, the women folk came day by day to scrabble the gravel from the local creek bed and carry it out onto the airstrip to make a safe landing path for the aircraft. It was a wonderful community effort. The same women folk are now, many of them, Christian leaders in their village. Even the Mothers' Union has had its beginning there. And of course, the adventure was when the first aircraft came to land. The Missionary Aviation Fellowship is a fine organization supported by church people of many denominations in Australia and overseas. And they fly for all missions in Papua New Guinea at cost and help to open up these new areas, such as this one. Of course, the first week brought the arrival of the bishop far from Dagora to here to dedicate the new airstrip and rejoice with the people in the real opening of the church's work amongst them. No vehicle road whatsoever reaching in this far to the mountains. The nearest roadhead is some 50 miles away. People are working, and the people are now working not on airstrips but on road building. And so, with over 2,000 people gathered, all those who've laboured so long on the airstrip, the dedication takes place. Bishop Hand, accompanied by Bishop George Ambo, performed this, and it was a particular inspiration to Bishop George Ambo to be present amongst his own people of the Highlands for this occasion. And then the people themselves go into their own celebrations. Far into the night, to the new dawn, this dancing will go on. The pigs have been killed, and the goat presented by the government joins the feast. And a mime of those being treated rather roughly by the new introduced medical treatment is done by the Papuan staff, brings a sense of humour into the warlike atmosphere of these great dances. They'll all be dancing again in a few years when their first baptism and 200 and 300 Christians take place. And so far into the dawn, a dawn of adventure in New Guinea, they go on.